another episode of Post-Fades Cheesesteaks, NBA edition. We got the playoffs starting today, Saturday, April 16th.
Yeah.
It's exciting stuff. I think, unfortunately, I think the Sixers hype is not as high as it was a couple months ago, but I mean, it's you never know. That's the beauty of the playoffs. You never know what's going to happen. I mean,
but you gotta love the calendar. The NFL free agency has died down. Now we're in a lull for the draft.
Yep.
The opening day is now coming past. The Phillies have gone back to their usual ways of losing to the Marlins and infuriating us.
Yeah.
So they're already on my I'm starting to get really annoyed with them list. So now it's time to take my attention somewhere else. And hey, listen, it's still the same team we were all hyped up about when we made the Harden trade. For the most part, I mean, Tyball's obviously not going to be available in Toronto, which I think is just infuriating.
Yeah, I didn't know he was half vaxxed. That's interesting.
I don't know how he got away with this for so long. And you know what? The fact that he's got one shot, I think annoys me more. I definitely never, been on the Kyrie side for a lot of his shenanigans.
Yeah.
But I think I'd rather be I'm more understanding of what Kyrie does with no shots than Tyball with one shot. Just doesn't seem to make sense to me. You already got the one. Why not to get the other?
Yeah, I don't know.
But hey, neither here nor there. Enough with the vaccines. Yeah. We better not lose to Toronto, or I think this whole city will come for Tyball's head.
You know what's funny though is I think they're minus 4.5 for today, but I know the series is there's a lot of people picking the Raptors.
Yeah.
I mean, the Raptors are they're a very scrappy defensive team, I feel like. So I could see them trying to see this is where we might as well just get right into it. Quick Sixers talk before we do a bracket prediction. I think the Sixers are going to struggle a little bit against the Raptors. I could see it going 6. But I think that this series is going to force James Harden to play really well, because I think they're going to really try and isolate Joel, double him, triple him a lot.
Yeah.
And so he's going to have to, rely on Harden. So if Harden can't step up in this series, then, we're going to have a problem. So
I mean, it is a 4-5 matchup, so you would expect to be close. I do think it's going to be close. My biggest concern is Nick Nurse just putting on a coaching clinic and Doc Rivers doing a lot of stupid things, because, man, if there's one person I'm the most worried about going into the playoffs, it has been Doc's horrific coaching decisions.
I mean, the fact that DeAndre Jordan is getting more minutes than some of these other younger guys who actually can shoot, like Paul Reed or whatever, what are you doing?
He's made a lot of questionable calls that I'm very scared of, especially against a coach like Nurse.
It kind of sucks. I like Doc, and I was happy they hired him, but
yeah, me
I'm losing my patience, because this team is, at least starter wise, this team's too talented to be losing these games. Granted, the bench is abysmal. The bench is so bad. The offseason, they really need to bring in some low key players to help build that bench up, because Korkmaz is not it. I mean, you lost a lot when you gave away, Seth Curry to the Nets. Which, funny enough, I've been hearing Ben Simmons is a headache over there. So,
did you hear that he's he's not gonna be rolled out in game 1. They're thinking about rolling him out in game 4 or 5 or 6. I can't fathom the idiotic decision making that is going on in Brooklyn. You're talking about a guy that is not a smooth slide in there, you'll find your way. This guy needs a whole system around him. To do that in the middle of a playoff series is just beyond me. But hey, you know what? Let him do it. Let's see how much of a failure this is.
Yeah, I don't know how much truth to the report there is, but I did see something going around that Ben Simmons, Nets players have said Ben Simmons is he walks around the building with this Michael Jordan swagger. He thinks he's the guy.
Surprise you at all from when?
No, it's so on brand. And I'm just wow, he's not changing at all. That's amazing.
I can't wait for another city to experience the Ben Simmons show, because it is infuriating when you have to watch this guy just give up wide open looks, afraid to shoot. He's going to get hacked all game to just and that's just going to be everyone's strategy. Stop KD and Kyrie by just howling Ben Simmons. That's all you need to do. But
yeah.
we'll see. I mean, I mean, the Nets are one team that are kind of, look pretty good. The play in, they looked pretty nice. They dominated. I think it was the Hornets. It was or Cleveland. I don't remember who it was, but they dominated whoever it was. Kyrie and Katie look like they are on one. Though obviously the Nets are going to go as far as those two take them, but they look like they're ready to go. Could be a scary team, but I mean, I think Ben Simmons is going to be a problem, especially if you roll him out in the middle of the series.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I mean, who knows?
Going back to the Raptors and Sixers, though, I do expect the Sixers to win. I am still kind of nervous. I worry about the Nick Nurse. I think Nick Nurse is going to have a very good scheme against Joel. He's played Joel Embiid very well. They have a tall, lanky, long defensive team. But this is a matchup, though, that I feel like is why you got James Harden. Because I look at the Raptors lineup, and they've got some defensive guys, like some big, tall guys that can play some defense, but they don't really have much scores. I mean, what's his face? Pascal will probably give you your 20. Fred VanVleet's, probably throwing a 20 as well. But outside those two, I mean, neither of them are like number one, go get me a bucket kind of guys. And they don't really have anyone else that's going to give them an offensive spark. We should be able to just outscore them with James Harden and Joel Embiid. Harden's really got to, he's got to be in there every game. I need like 30 from him. He's got to be offensive, like playmaker.
Yeah, that's the thing that I'm so I mean, we might as well just start off our brackets then. So we'll start in the East, and we can start with the I was about to say Eagles, Sixers, and Raptors. Yeah, I think that's a good point you made. That Toronto, while they'll be like super creative on defense and stuff, and like I think they have a coaching advantage with Nick Nurse. But I also think, like, you're right, the Sixers have more firepower on offense. Like, Joel and Harden are better than any offensive teams or any offensive players they have. I mean, Siakam's nice. Van Fleet can hit his threes, but, like, they're not going to outscore those two. So, as long as they are considered, like, you'll at least get 30 probably from Joel. And Harden, you should be getting you would like 30 from Harden too, but 20, if I can get 20, 25, 10 assists, 7 rebounds, I don't know. But
I think Nick Nurse is going to call up the defense game plan that fully focuses on Joel Embiid like he has before. Yeah, and this is where, James Harden being the best player that, that Joel Embiid has ever played with is going to have to step up because Nick Nurse is going to go and take away Joel Embiid or try to take away Joel Embiid. You can't take away Joel Embiid. He's too good. Yeah. But they're going to make him a point. And James Harden has to be James Harden. He has to be an offensive superstar. He's got to be able to score points and take advantage of the mismatch you're going to get when Joel Embiid's getting, doubled or tripled or whatever that is. Tobias too. I mean, Tobias has to step up too. You need your other scorers around Embiid to step up because he's going to be the focus of the Raptors defensive game plan. And this is also a matchup that I really am not looking forward to not having Tybal in half the years because I would love to have Tybal and Van Vliet, especially. We'll see because what you're lacking from Tybal is you're not going to have many defenders out there at all. I mean, Harden's hardly any defender. Maxi's not going to scare anyone defensively. So you see what happens. They should still be able to win this series. I say Sixers in 6.
I also say Sixers in 6. I think they go 2-0 at home and then drop 1 or 2 and then they come back and finish strong, finish it. I could see it going 2-2 series and then the Sixers finishing out. But yeah, I'm not super excited about it. I'm just glad we're not in the same bracket as Brooklyn or Milwaukee.
Oh yeah.
So, or the Celtics like that. Y'all can stay over there. But
yeah, that's true. No, hey, listen, you get through the first round. That's all we're right about now. I do think it's gonna be close. It's not gonna be just a cakewalk.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna rep my my Sixers jersey and say Toronto. So, yeah, Sixers and 6 for me.
Okay.
So that would put them at winner of Miami versus Atlanta. Honestly, it brings me great joy to see the Hawks barely squeezing into the playoffs because of what they did to us last year. And they have a lot of I don't like Trae Young at all. He's a very cocky player. Regardless of that,
I really don't want to see the Hawks in the second round again. Just actually kind of do. I hope we destroy them this time. They don't have the Hack-a-Simmons strategy anymore available to them.
That's true. I don't think they're going to give Miami any problems. I think Miami is going to take care of it. I actually have Miami in 4. I think they're going to sweep them. So,
yeah, you know what? I'll give them Miami a 5. I think Trae Young goes out there, drops like 41 game, and just muscles them to a win. He guy's a superstar. Yeah, he's been really good, especially this year. So I think that it's probably. I mean, it'll be clean. It'll be easy for Miami, but I'll say 5.
Okay. Then we move on. I'll let you take this one first. Milwaukee versus Chicago. This is interesting.
Chicago's been a good story. I think they've surprised a lot of people. DeMar DeRozan has played out of his mind. I mean, he's been, I think, exceeded all expectations when he went to Chicago. Yeah. They're a young team. They're a fun team. They're a nice team. But the Bucks, I mean, they're defending champs. They've been there. They've looked really good in the games I've seen them this year. I think this is the upstart young team that over exceeded all expectations versus the certified dominant champions that know what they're doing. I don't particularly think it's going to be close. I'm thinking it's probably going to be like Bucks in 5.
Yeah, I'm of a similar mindset. I also think Bucks in 5. I just think Giannis is going to be too much for them, and they have what's his name? Holiday's been playing. I mean, excuse me, Holiday had some struggles last year when he got moved over to Milwaukee, but he's been real solid this year. He's really fit into the zone. And then
I mean, honestly, they've looked. I mean, the record hasn't looked great, but since some points they've looked like they know what they're doing. They're solid. Yeah. They have their experience. I expect them to be locked in on the playoffs too and be ready to defend.
Yeah. So we both have Milwaukee moving on, and this is honestly the game of the first round. Celtics I don't know why I keep saying that. Celtics versus Brooklyn. This is tough. Yeah. This is because I think the Celtics overall are the more balanced team, the better team right now. But you just as much as I hate to admit it, like KD and Kyrie, when they're on, they're unstoppable.
Kyrie, they match up better with, they have Marcus Smart, they have Jaylen Brown, they have some very good defending guards. But who is even going to slow down KD, let alone stop him? Who's going to slow him? I don't see anyone on that roster. Jason Tatum's not going to be able to do it. They don't have anyone that I think can even remotely match up with KD. He's just going to be a nightmare for them. I think that Kyrie's probably going to have revenge. Not even revenge, but, he doesn't seem like he's a guy that, doesn't play to the narrative. He's going to play his old team. He left on a bad note. I think that Brooklyn's going to win this game. I'm not fully sold on the Celtics. I think they got hot at the right time. They're a nice team. Jason Tatum's playing really well, but I think these two superstars, Kyrie and KD, on their stuff, they're going to be tough to defeat, and I don't think the Celtics are going to do it unless Ben Simmons comes in and just throws the whole mojo off, which is also possible.
So you got Brooklyn in.
I'm taking Brooklyn. We'll say 6.
Okay.
The Venom is going to be out though in those games in Boston with Kyrie coming back.
Yeah, and the Celtics have one of their players, one of their good defenders is hurt. I forget his name, so he's going to miss the series, I think. So that's also not great. And I agree with you. I think they did they're kind of just really hot right now, but that could be a good thing for them. Like they could just be cruising.
Could. But you can say the same thing almost about the Nets. I mean, not as hot as Celtics, but they just came off a nice playing games. And
yeah, something to me about a rematch in the playoffs of Milwaukee and Brooklyn is just it feels like it needs to happen. So I'm going to lean towards the Nets in 7. I think it's going to be a long series.
Okay, you think so? That's your series. Oh, I guess it is the series, the first round. Just off.
It would be fitting, and Kyrie's going to get the dagger. He'll score the last points in Game 7, and that will move Brooklyn on. So
you are planning for heartbreak in Boston.
Oh yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah. All right. I think we're pretty much sweep on the same picks on all of them on the first round.
Fairly similar, yeah. So moving on, I'll let you take this first one then. Number 1 seed Miami Heat versus the number 4 seed Philadelphia 76ers. Who you got?
Hey, you know what? You hit it on it earlier, not having anything on the bench. I mean, DeAndre Jordan shouldn't get any minutes.
No.
If Doc Rivers wasn't the coach, maybe. Yeah, if Doc Rivers wasn't the coach, he probably doesn't see it at the floor at all. But this is the reality we live in. I still think, I mean, we're still and it really comes down to Maxey has been incredible and he's become your third scorer, but you really need someone like Tobias Harris to step up for just take some pressure off of, Harden and Embiid, because right now it just seems like you're running through two guys, which, is good. It's a great pairing, but I think they're going to have problems when they go to a more complete team like Miami, especially one that matches up really well against us. Bam and Jimmy are probably their two best defenders, and they're probably going to draw the Harden and Embiid's assignments. Spoelstra's a really good coach. I'm sure he's going to have something planned for them. I really, and the Sixers, it's hard to really make a deep run when you make a big trade like that in the middle of the season because you gave up pieces, you're having to work on the fly, you're kind of picking people off the buyout market like you do with Jordan. Other guys have to step up in roles they weren't expecting. So I think this is maybe, next year you build more around the two superstars and go into heavy, but I think that they're going to have trouble with Miami. Miami looks really good all year. They look like they were 2 years ago in the bubble. Like everyone is hitting on all cylinders. Hero and Duncan Robinson have come back to life. I think that they're probably going to be a problem, and I think the Sixers are probably going to fall in the second round for the second year in a row.
Damn. So you got how many?
I know it's going to be a series. It's going to be a series. I'll say we go. You know what? Hometown bias. I'll go 7. I just, man, you know what? It's Bam and Jimmy. They're two best defenders and match up perfectly with what the Sixers are going to do. And I've been waiting for Tobias to take the step up and become that number 3 scorer that's going to scare other teams, but he hasn't. I mean,
yeah.
The thing is, I love Maxey, and Maxey's been great, but can you rely on him in the playoffs in a tight game like that where he's going to go against a veteran team? I mean, Kyle Lowry's on there too. Like you're looking at Jimmy Butler and Kyle Lowry going against Maxey and Harden. It's going to put a lot of pressure on Maxey, and I don't know if he's going to be able to step up. Nothing against the guy. He's 20 years old. Tobias should be able to step up. I'm just losing my faith in him being that guy to step up. And the team's not very deep. You hit on it earlier. They don't have the depth. They don't have the other guys to step up. And unless Tobias does it, I don't see where they're going to be able to hurt the Heat. The Heat are a full team. They've been playing really good. They're solid. They're deep. A lot of their guys have been there before. It's going to be a tough one. It's tough to make a deep run when you make that big trade in the middle of the season. You got to build the roster on the fly almost to extent.
Yeah.
But, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, we still have plenty of firepower offensively with Harden and Embiid to beat anyone. I just think the Heat are going to have a very strong defensive strategy and tough one for the Sixers to get over.
Yeah, I agree with everything you say. However, I'm biased. So
there you go. See, you know what? I criticize. Listen, I'm all for the Sixers going further, but my bias, it's just, outside of Harden and Embiid, who's stepping up for you? 20-year-old Tyrese Maxey? That's not something I want to bank on against a veteran-led Heat team.
I don't know, but I'm feeling this is going to be I think this will be a fun series if it happens. I think facing Jimmy again in the playoffs is exciting. And I'm a Jimmy Butler fan, so it hurts. But do I think they could lose in the second round? Most likely. I think it'll probably happen. But you never know. Like I said, it's the playoffs. You never know. Even though the Sixers are pretty reliable on failing us, they could figure something out in the playoffs. Maybe Harden does play well. Maybe Doc does not blow leads. Who knows? But I'll take Sixers in 7. Joel has a 40-point game in Game 7 to help the Sixers get to the next round.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the team and it's just the Heat are so deep. I mean,
just don't look at it. Don't even look.
I think they have 7 guys. I'm sorry, averaging double figures. I mean, Victor Oladipo's on the team, who I completely forgot about. Hero is back to his bubble ways. It looks like he's been really good. It's just they're so deep, and I mean, who's going to guard all these guys? Who's going to score? Listen, the only way you win this series, I think, is you need to get James Harden, like the full prime James Harden package. The guy's got it, because Embiid's going to be out there. I think Bam matches up well with him, but Harden's going to have to go out there and drop like 30 a game against a strong defensive presence with Jimmy Butler and Kyle Lowry, which is not going to be an easy task, but it's going to be tough. And Spoelstra's such a good coach. He's going to have something planned for them, but this team's veteran. They're tough. I mean, you look, PJ Tucker's on the bench. That guy's going to play some minutes. He's a championship guy. Yeah. It's just a tough defensively. You're talking about, Bam, Butler, Lowry, PJ Tucker, and then offensively you want to throw Hero, Butler, Abayu, Kyle Lowry, Victor Oladipo, Duncan Robinson. It's just a lot of scoring, a lot of defense, a lot of veteran presence, and throwing in great coach. I like Miami a lot this year. I like them a lot this year. Unfortunately, the Sixers are going to have to run into them, but we'll see.
Sixers and 7.
Sixers and 7. You go with the Sixers and 7. Fair enough.
All right. I'll lead off for the next one then. Milwaukee and Brooklyn. These are like, if these pan out to be the matchups, like the East is gonna have a really nice get your popcorn. Sixers and Miami and Milwaukee and Brooklyn. Like these are nice games. So we both had Brooklyn in 7 beating the Celtics. Well, I had Brooklyn in 7 over the Celtics.
And they had like 6, 7, yeah.
And I think it's going to come down to, again, 7 games. And I'm going to stick with the Bucks. I've been preaching that since the beginning of the season, that I think the Bucks are going to crawl their way back to the finals, and I think they make it past this round and they beat the Nets in 7, and KD can go home and cry and sit on his couch and complain about the fans some more. So
good for him.
I will say though, he did earn some good grace back from me, because he said if he had a vote in MVP, he would pick Embiid. So I'll give KD a little bit of credit, but I still don't like him.
Fair enough. I'm also in the rematch of last year. I'm also going to take the Bucks. Like I said, I thought the Nets would get through the Celtics, so they had no answer for KD. Giannis is a very good answer for KD. They have a strong team. I mean, they're just a veteran team. Like the Nets are still trying to put it together. They're, again, kind of like a roster that's just on the go, especially if you put Simmons out there. They look like they're locked in, like they're ready to go deep. I think that the Nets just seem like they're waiting for turmoil, especially when you throw Simmons in there. They just don't seem like a complete set unit.
Yeah,
I'm not impressed with Steve Nash, to be honest with you. He's done nothing.
He's a plug-in coach.
Nothing. Yeah, nothing since he's been hired to impress me. I'm going with the champs. I think, you know what? I want to say it's probably 5, 6. I don't think it's going to be particularly close. I think the Bucks are going to have an easy road here. I don't think they're going to struggle with it. Yeah, the Nets, they have enough star power to get past a team like the Celtics, who I think are just who got hot at the right time. I think that their talent, their roster isn't as good as their record. Where the Bucks is on the other side, like they have the same exact record as the Celtics and the Sixers, but I think they're better than the record is, and I think they're only going to get better in the playoffs. I see them stepping up in the playoffs, where I don't really see the Celtics doing that.
Interesting. Yeah, I think whoever plays Milwaukee in the second round, it's going to go 7, whether it's the Nets or the Celtics. So,
okay, look at you being optimistic. You just 7-game series for everyone. All this playoffs is going to go until freaking July in your mind. Every series is going to be 7 games.
So you got Bucks over Nets in 6 or 5?
And I'll do 6. Not to disrespect them. Yeah, I'll say 6.
All right. So round 3 for you then would be the Heat versus the Bucks. So who you like in that one to make it to the chip?
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I do believe the Heat and the Bucks played last year in the playoffs.
I believe the Bucks sweep them. Did they not? In the first round, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. I do. Yeah, they did. Yeah, they swept them in the first round.
Get my memory working. Shocker.
You are. Wow. Look at you. You impressed me. Look at you. This is why I
got the myself.
I can find. Yeah. Yeah. Knowing the Heat, knowing their veteran team like that, Jimmy Butler didn't forget that. Just like I don't think Giannis forgot that he got lost to them in the bubble, and I think they're going to take turns. The bubble, the Heat won against the Bucks last year. The Bucks beat the Heat. I think this year the Heat beat the Bucks.
Oh, wow.
The Heat, I think they're ready to go, man. I think Kyle Lowry was a strong pickup for them. He is going to be a big problem for Drew Holiday, who's having a wonderful year. I remember Spoelstra had a great strategy against Giannis in the bubble. I mean, Giannis is much better now. The guy's improved a lot in 2 years, which is saying something because he was pretty incredible there. But I like this Heat team. I thought the pickups, they made with Tucker, Lowry, they got veteran guys that have been there before, guys that have been in the finals, guys know what they're doing, guys that are champions, and I think that's going to help them a lot. It's a very veteran champion led team. I like them a lot. I like the Heat a lot this year, and I think they're going to knock off the Bucks. It's going to be a good series. It's going to be a tight series, but I think I'll go with your style. I think the Heat pull it out in 7.
Wow, 7 games.
Man, just look at the Heat roster. Like their top
I
guys.
I know.
By Bam, Duncan, Tyler Hero, Jimmy Butler, all in the finals in the bubble. Kyle Lowry, champion. PJ Tucker, champion. I mean, Victor Oladipo is going to get minutes, but he's the only one that hasn't been to the championship or won a championship in the last. Like these aren't like just this was in the early career. This was like the last 3 years ago. Their team is just littered with just guys with championship experience.
And you know what you didn't mention about them? That's a positive. They have one hell of a coach in Eric Spoelstra. So
that is true. Honestly, I think he might be the best. I like Nurse a lot, but he might be the best coach in the playoffs right now.
I mean, he's been coaching the Heat for a long time now. He was with Shaq, right? Wasn't he coaching with Shaq?
No, Pat Riley was.
Yeah, you're right. But shortly after Pat Riley moved to like an executive role or something, and then Spoelstra came. Spoelstra was still with Wade though, like the Wade,
he was LeBron and Wade.
Yeah.
He was there. He had all the championships with them.
That was over 10 years ago. So
don't make me feel it, but yeah, no. I mean, he's gonna learn from last year. They're definitely going to learn from last year. They're getting embarrassed like that and get swept. I think they're going to come out with a vengeance. Something tells me Jimmy Butler didn't forget about being swept by them last year.
All right. All right. This is where my bias doesn't come into play. So I'll make it quick. I got the Bucks beating the Sixers. I got Milwaukee in 6.
Can I just ask before we get to the West, are you going to continue with your vanilla predictions and go with your preseason and midseason, end of season prediction of
you'll just have to see. You'll have to see how it plays out. I mean, I'm not going to say I'm a genius for predicting this almost a year ago.
We'll see how it plays out there, guys, before you start patting yourself on the back.
I think the sad part is like it'll be like the 3rd year in a row that the Sixers fail in the playoffs, and it's like we know the reason, but yet they're still not addressing like you said how well built the Heat team is. Like the Sixers need that. They need to grow that bench. They need to have other scorers to rely on besides just Joel or just Harden when he feels like shooting well. Maxi's a great story. We hope that he can continue and be that 17, 19 points per game point guard. Tobias got to go. I mean, unless he steps up in the playoffs and does well for us. I mean, actually, I take that back. Even if he plays well in the playoffs, he's still got to go. It's just not working.
Yeah, I mean, that is the biggest disappointment, really. And I mean, you're really thin now. You don't have Seth. You don't. I mean, even like I'm not saying Drummond was the end all be all, but like you're missing guys that were giving you good minutes, and now you need Tobias to step up more, and he just isn't doing it. And listen, it's tough when you make a big trade in the middle of the season to just patch the roster up together with buyouts and just guys you can find off the street, people stepping up. Naturally, people are going to have to step up.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you really have a serious look at Doc if they don't manage to make a dent in the playoffs this year. But then you got to add to the bench. I mean, I don't know what you do with Tobias. He's like unmovable, really, with the contract. But I mean, he's got to step up, man. He's the X factor in my mind. Joel's going to be Joel. He's going to be an MVP. Everyone's going to rip Harden if they don't go to the at least the conference finals, unless the guy is just horrific, I really think the X factor is going to be Tobias. Everyone's going to say Harden, but Tobias needs to step up. I don't see any situation where James Harden isn't going to give you like 25 a game. Like he seems like he's just a walking 25. Yeah. Tobias is the one that needs to step up because the defense is going to hound those two and beat Harden, and he needs to be the next guy.
They'll get their fouls too. So
yeah. Like I'm not as worried about a Harden. I know that's the narrative. I know that's what everyone's bullied. I'm more worried about the fact that all season you're number 3 and the guy you've been relying on to score outside your 2 studs is a 20-year-old Maxey who's exceeded all expectations, who looks awesome. But I don't know how much I trust a 20-year-old in the playoffs. This is where Tobias has to be that guy.
Yeah. I do have a quick question though. So based on what you've seen from Harden, are you more confident in the Sixers team with Harden on it that they could do damage in the playoffs? Or do you think the team with Seth Curry and Drummond would be better?
Oh, without a doubt, Harden.
Okay. Okay.
Let's be honest. We like when you get into playoff basketball, a lot of ISO ball comes into handy. Like it's a very half court ISO ball. You need guys that can get a bucket. I mean, Seth Curry wasn't getting you a bucket. I mean, he's a great shooter. He was a great player, but he was, I think, more beneficial to the fact that Joel was getting double teamed and he was able to hit an open shot.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely hard, especially when like you'll see the difference in Harden. I think when playoff basketball comes in, and you need a guy to just go get a bucket when defense is tight. You're not getting many fast breaks. You're not getting many open looks. But we'll see. I mean, the pressure's on Harden. I think unless the guy completely tanks, it's almost unfair how much pressure this guy's going to get because it's outside of going to the Eastern Conference Finals. Everyone's going to label him as just like can't do it in the playoffs. He's a regular season player, this and that. But hey, we'll
Yeah,
see.
I mean,
I'm hoping
obviously,
something good happens.
obviously, you want a championship out of all this, but I think if they make it to the conference finals and lose, I won't be like happy, but I'll be like, all right, that's progress. Whereas if they lose in the first round or classic Sixers lose in the semis again, like what do we like?
Oh, if they lose,
If
in the
they lose
first
to
round,
Toronto, Doc's gone. I think.
oh, without a doubt. I
Yeah.
don't even think if they don't get out of the second round, I think Doc. I don't know if it's guaranteed, but he's definitely going to have the heat on him.
Oh yeah. If they lose in the semis, like you're thinking they will in the second round, I think Doc's 50-50 on getting canned or not. Because there's too
Yeah,
much talent on the like between Joel and Harden. That you can't play around with them. They're in the prime of their career right now. I mean, Harden's already declining, but Joel's in the prime of his career. You know, perennial MVP candidate. You can't mess up this opportunity. So,
hey, we'll
no.
see.
But all right, so I have the Bucks coming out of the East. You have the Heat coming out of the East. Let's jump over to the West. Not as I don't think these games are going to be as close.
No.
Maybe one of them in particular. But starting off, Phoenix and the Pelicans. So shocked that the Pelicans made it in. Like the fact that who was it? The Timberwolves beat the Clippers for the play-in to get the 7, and then the Pelicans beat the what was it? They beat the Hornets, right? Wasn't it the Hornets and
The Hornets are in the East. They
oh
beat
yeah,
the
the Hornets are in
Clippers.
the East. Never mind. Who am I thinking of then?
I don't know.
I forget. Well, they beat somebody, and then they beat the Clippers without Paul George, without Kawhi. So Clippers missed the playoffs. That's kind of funny because they were your team last year. I remember.
Yeah, I mean they didn't have Kawhi Leonard all year. This isn't the same team.
Oh, I know. Anyways, yeah, I don't think they're gonna have any. Phoenix is gonna sweep the Pelicans. I got Suns in 4, no problem.
Yeah, the Suns have been easily the best team in the NBA all year. There will be no issue. This is gonna be a quick sweep.
All right. Next game. This one, I'm actually, I've already set all the other ones, but this one I'm still debating. So I'm curious what you think. 4 seed Dallas versus 5 seed Utah. Who you got?
You know what? This one's tough. Um, I, you know what? I'm gonna lean with the Mavericks. I don't really like what I'm hearing with the Jazz. Obviously, the rumors of Mitchell going somewhere else are starting to swirl heavy. That makes me feel like there is some frustration brewing in that locker room. I think with the
Yeah.
team and how they underperformed this year from last year. I think Luka's going to step up. Luka really hasn't had his playoff moment. I don't think he's been out of the first round yet,
Yeah.
if I'm correct. It's just he's too talented of a player for that to be the case. I think the Jazz are just going to be in trouble, and I think if they get a first round exit, the rumors of Mitchell are just going to swirl even more. But I think there is something there. I think that locker room's getting disconnected. Um, Gobert, for all the accolades he gets defensively, like last year against the Clippers, he got embarrassed of how much of a liability he is
Oh
to
yeah.
even spread the floor out. Which I wouldn't be surprised if I'm the Mavericks, I look at the tape what the Clippers did to the Jazz last year in the playoffs, and I pretty much do the exact same thing. They relayed the blueprint out of turning a 3-time defensive player into just irrelevant player. So I'm going to take the Mavericks. I think it's time that Luka makes some noise in the playoffs.
Okay. I was kind of leaning towards the same thought process. Like the Jazz have just imploded, like from their crazy were they the 1 seed last year, right?
Yeah.
And they lost to the Lakers in the first round, I think. Or no, they beat the Lakers, right? And they lost to the Suns the second round. I don't remember.
The Suns played the Lakers in the first round. The Jazz
Oh,
lost.
yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
You're right.
and the
You're right.
Jazz lost to the Clippers.
You're right. So my memory failed me that time.
Yeah,
But
you were on top of it with the sweep. You remembered. Now you just should have gone
I
out and met the guy.
I like that. I like that line though, where the storyline where you say that this is time for Luka to make a move, do something in the playoffs. So I agree. I think Mavs in 6 is fair. I think the
Yeah.
Jazz will win on defense, one or two of those games, and then but ultimately they'll just kind of fall apart like they have been this since last year. So
One other note is, listen, Porzingis has been a shell of himself since those early years with the Knicks, but that's not a good coverage for Gobert. I mean, Porzingis doesn't like to be down low. He likes to spread it out and be on that 3-point line. If you can kick Porzingis out and make Gobert leave the middle, I mean, we've seen it with the Clippers, like I was saying. He's just, if you take him out of that middle, he is not the guy defensively. He's not the 3-team defensive player of the year if he moves that paint. And if you can just kick it to the outside and Porzingis is the perfect player for that, it's going to be a problem.
I didn't want to interrupt you, but Porzingis is on Washington.
Porzingis on Washington.
Yeah, he's with the Wizards. He's not on the Mavericks anymore.
Oh, my apologies. Yeah, I got my guys. Yeah, whatever. That's all right. I got it mixed up.
Yeah, maybe next year he'll.
Yeah, that's all right. I was thinking, yeah, like I said, it's been tough to keep track of basketball. We'll edit that one out.
That's okay. I still think he's on the Knicks, so it's all good. Who'd you have? So you had Dallas in how many games?
I'd take him in 6.
All right, same thought process there. This one I've also been having trouble with. Warriors versus the Nuggets. I would, if Steph Curry was 100%, I wouldn't even think twice. I'd pick the Warriors, but the fact that he might not play game 1 or 2.
No, he's likely to play game 1. Listen, you don't give a hold on before you get into this.
Right.
You're going to say you're worried about the Warriors.
That's not injuries. Like a hobbled Steph. Clay that's still trying to find his way. Still not shooting like normal Clay. Green is defense, sure, great, but he's still not phenomenal in offense. A lot to be desired. I don't know. It's not. I said this I think earlier in the year that I think the Warriors are going to have a nice season, but it's going to be a year too soon for them to make it back to the finals. So I think they did well. They made a 3 seed this year, but I think they're going to get humbled a little bit and realize that they're still, building for that championship team again. So I'll take the Nuggets in 7.
I would probably pick the Nuggets if I knew if Michael Porter and Jamal Murray were coming back, but that definitely doesn't seem very likely. I don't know what you're thinking. Okay. Steph Curry seems pretty confident in playing game 1, so I'm going to take Steph Curry. Without Murray and Porter, I can't realistically think the Nuggets are going to knock off the Warriors. All right, I had the Nuggets. They were they were out of my West, but that was pretty much off of the assumption that they would be back by now. Porter and Murray. That hasn't happened. Doesn't seem like it's going to happen. I can't see Jokic carrying this entire team past the Warriors.
Okay, so you got Warriors in how many games?
You know what? I'm going to say 5. I really don't think it's close.
5. Wow.
Who outside of Jokic is going to keep this a close series?
I mean, they got some balance there. It's just they don't have that extra scorer besides him. So
they're literally missing their number 2 and number 3 scorer. That is a problem.
Hey man, it's the playoffs. Anything can happen.
Yeah, it's the playoffs. That's where you would like to have your number 2 and number 3 scorer.
Anyway,
especially when you go against the Warriors and you know that Steph Curry is going to be able to score some points. I think Clay will be fine. Okay. But hey, we'll see what happens.
All right. And then the last game of the first round, we have the Grizzlies versus the Timberwolves. I think the Grizzlies are not a fluke. I think they're a really solid, well-built team. Ja is crazy. I got Memphis in 5. I think Timberwolves sneak one from all that, hype they got from winning the play-in. So, but only one.
You know what? I like the Grizzlies. I do think that they're a good team. They're a young team, but I think they're good. Ja's legit. He's so good. I kind of like the Timberwolves. They're kind of got this gritty attitude coming into it. I think it's gonna be close. I really want to. I'm really thinking about it, but I can't pull myself to actually say that the Timberwolves are gonna knock off the Grizzlies. But I think that it's gonna go deep. I think it'll be at least 6 games. So we'll say Grizzlies in 6.
Okay.
But I mean, listen, this is the one's going to bite me. If the Timberwolves end up knocking off the Grizzlies, I'm going to, be so mad that I didn't have the balls to pick them. But I don't think it's going to be just an easy 2-7, knockoff.
Wait, so what? How many games?
I say 6 at least.
Wow.
I think the Timberwolves, I don't know if I would say they're legit, but I think that they might catch the Grizzlies sleeping a little bit. Grizzlies are a young team, not saying unproven, but this is the first time they've had some real expectations for themselves.
Okay.
So,
all right, next round, semifinals. We got, I think we all have the same. So Phoenix versus Dallas. You're going to see a trend here. I got Phoenix in 5 over Dallas. So not what you say there. I think Phoenix is probably the best team in the playoffs. So.
Yeah, they're like the best team in the NBA. I actually think
that's what I meant.
I think they're gonna get through the first 2 rounds without losing a game. So Luke will be nice, but they're not gonna have enough firepower to keep up with the Suns with just Luka. The Suns are on one. They've been on one all year. They look really good.
So you got Suns over the Mavs in 4.
Yep.
Okay. Next game. Yeah, I guess not much to talk about there. You have Warriors versus the Grizzlies. What are you liking?
You know what? I'm actually gonna pick the Warriors here.
Wow.
This is 2 teams, man. The Grizzlies they're a nice team, but they're a young team. No one's been in this, Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, the core, the core that has been with the Warriors. They've gone through this so many times. They know what they're doing. They know when to turn it up. I don't think they'll have any problem. Curry should be at second round. Curry should be fine. I don't think the injury is going to linger with him. Klay Thompson should be fine. Wiggins is going to be a nice defensive piece, so I think it's going to come in handy, especially, I wouldn't be surprised if you throw Wiggins out there on Ja a little bit, match his athleticism. Especially with Draymond Green, helping defensively. I think that the Warriors win this one. They're going to win this series. It'll be a good lesson for the Grizzlies. They'll learn a lot in this. They're a young team. They'll only get better. The sky's the limit for them. But I am going to say, we'll say it's going to be close. We'll say 6 games.
Okay. I mean, I know the Grizzlies are a 2 seed, but they are my Cincinnati Bengals of this year. Well, almost, I should say. I think they're going to be that young team that people like, they think like you're thinking like, oh, well, they're good, but they're not like ready yet, that kind of deal. But I have them playing Denver in the second round. So I'm going to take Grizzlies in 6. I'm going to have them making it to the conference finals. A lot of good play out of them. So we'll see. I think they're ready for the moment. They got some veterans. Steven Adams, he's been here hundreds of times. So
Steven Adams, he's their veteran presence that is going to drive them to the playoffs.
Yeah, this is your guy. Why not?
I see. You know what? I'll bet, because I fell for the same thing with the Suns last year. I said that I thought that they were a year ahead of schedule and they exceeded expectation. I didn't see them going as far as they did.
Yeah.
Grizzlies kind of feel the same way, but you got to look at the 2 different teams. One, they don't have Chris Paul. Chris Paul isn't. Steven Adams is not Chris Paul. Their veteran leader was a guy that could carry this team and teach them how to play. They also had some other veteran guys. I think Crowder, blanking on who else was that team last year, but the Grizzlies are super young. I mean, Adams is your only veteran. They don't have that guy that's going to just be the leader throughout. I mean, Ja's incredible, but he's still like 20. This is his first time in the playoffs, I believe. I don't think they made it last year. I think it's asking them a lot to go any further than the second round.
Fair enough. All right, so I have in my conference finals Phoenix versus Memphis, and like I said, there's a little bit of a trend here. I had the Suns sweep the Pelicans. I had them beat the Mavs in 5. So now I'm going to have them beat the Grizzlies in 6. So surprise, surprise, I have the Suns versus the Bucks in my finals again. So
wow, look at that. How cute. Vanilla.
It's not, I mean, stick with it. It would look bad if I kept switching my picks. So I'm still confident in it. So like, why wouldn't I stick with my preseason prediction?
Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair
Big
enough.
brain, big brain.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, you
So I
have
got what, the Suns versus the
yeah,
Warriors.
you got
I
Suns
think it's gonna be a
Warriors.
nice series, very nice series. I like to see the firepower, especially the guard play there, between Curry and Paul and Booker, Thompson. Did a lot of good shooting. I think that the Suns pull this out. I think it's gonna be 6 games though. The
Okay.
Warriors, I think, will only get better as the playoffs goes on. They've been there before, but I'm gonna pull the Suns. They've easily been the best team in the NBA all year. They've been consistent. They look hungry.
Yeah.
I think they're ready to go at it again.
Okay. So you got Suns in 6. So I have the Phoenix Suns, the 1 seed in the West, versus the 3 seed in the East, Milwaukee Bucks. And very vanilla, like I said in the preseason. I think the Suns are going to get their revenge. They're going to get their title. So I got Phoenix beating Milwaukee in 6 games for the NBA championship.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I'm going to say my matchup between the Heat and the Suns is going to go 7. Very evenly matched teams.
Okay. That's a pretty good matchup, I would say. They're both very balanced teams. So
yeah, they're good. They got that veteran gritty leader with Paul and Butler. Even got like a nice Bam Adebayo and Ayton kind of remind me of each other. But I think Devin Booker takes that next step. I really think he's going to put himself in that upper echelon of he's already a star, but I can carry my team to a championship and be the guy star. I think that the Suns, hungrier than ever, pull it off this year, and I'm going with you. I actually think the Suns are going to win the title this year.
Wow,
I
thought you were going to go.
Yeah, but you know what? I think that the Booker is the difference maker.
Okay.
I think Chris Paul is going to keep on. Listen, you got to give them credit. They went to the championship last year, went to all the way to the end. Yeah, they looked really good all year. This year they've been even better than last year. I got to say, they don't look distracted. They don't look like they got caught up in last year. They look hungry, very hungry, and they look like they're ready to do it. I think that they're going to cruise through the West, have no problem, and then I think they knock off the Heat. I'll give them that.
All right. So we both had our differences in the bracket itself, but at the end of the day, we both have the Phoenix Suns as our world champions. So
I don't know if I like that we're picking the same team.
I mean, it's happened before. So all right. Well, that being said, I don't want to get into too many of the other awards because, to be honest, I haven't looked at them really deeply. But I did have 2 questions for you for MVP.
Okay.
Between Joel Embiid, Jokic, and Giannis. Question 1, who do you think is actually going to win? And question 2, who do you think deserves to win?
Well, I'll keep this short and sweet because it's the same answer for both. I'm going the big guy. Embiid wins. Embiid should win.
They're all big guys, so.
Yeah, but you know what I meant. This is Embiid's time. He's been extremely dominant all year. The guy's just been a force. He's the scoring leader. Yeah. There's no reason not to. I think Jokic and Giannis have had their time. They've won their MVPs. It is Embiid's time. He got shafted last year. He pulls it in this year. This is his time.
I like that. Unfortunately, I think Jokic is going to win. I don't know. Something about it just bothered. Like, I just feel like they're going to give it to him because of all those. Because, he hasn't played with, his 2 other best stars on the team and all these weird percentages. But
Embiid missed half the season without his best star. I mean, without Simmons.
Well, I think Jokic is going to win based on voting and bias and all that. But I think Joel deserves to win and should win because, like you said, first of all, he was the scoring leader. Like, that's fucking impressive especially for a center. We haven't had a center lead in scoring since Shaq in 2001 or 99 or something.
Yeah.
He had to deal with all the Ben Simmons debacle and stepped up and was a leader during that one. There's a difference though. It's like the Nuggets have injured players, whereas the Sixers had a player that just straight up quit on them. It's one thing eventually they'll come back. It's like, no, Ben Simmons said, fuck y'all. I'm not playing. at all. You got to figure it out. So I don't know. I think if you lead the league in scoring and, you're putting up, get your team to 50 wins, and sure, he has Harden now, but he's only had Harden for 2 months. That's, he still played majority of the season without him. So yeah, he deserves it. He should get it. Who knows what happens, but happy at least we have, every year now, past 2 years at least, we've had a player that we can say, hey, this guy's potentially MVP. Like, no, awesome that would be if we had Bryce Harper win the NL MVP and then Joel win the NBA MVP. Well, yeah, Jalen Hurts is going to win NFL MVP.
It'd be more awesome if we had some postseason success to go along with that. But
yeah,
if you get to see
I'll take a chip. I will sacrifice Joel Embiid's MVP if we can win a championship this year, for sure.
I will sacrifice every future MVP if we can get a championship.
I agree with that. All right. Well, my last quick thought. First round in the West, first round in the East. You have a gun to your head. You have to pick one team that you think could pull off an upset. Who do you got?
Oh, easy. Well, I already picked the one upset in the East, the Nets over the Celtics. But then I'll tell you, I'm not. The other one, 2-7 matchup for me. Well, the one gun in the head would be the Nets because I picked them anyway. But
okay, I'm
not sleeping on the Timberwolves. They
got a
little gritty attitude. They got a little gritty attitude to them. They've got talent there. They've underperformed for so long. The talent's always been there. I feel like we'll see. I'm not picking them obviously, but I wouldn't write them off. I think they're going to give the Grizzlies a series.
I guess by like seeding, yes, Brooklyn would be an upset. So I guess I would say that in the East, because as much as I would say, like, I really don't think Atlanta has a shot. I really don't think Chicago has a shot. I think at the end of the day, the Sixers still take care of Toronto. Yeah, I don't know. My upset, I guess, is Denver still, but over the Warriors. But I don't see Minnesota beating Memphis. It doesn't. Now, if the Pelicans beat the Suns, that would be. No, what are the odds on that? Somebody should put $5 down on that. See what happens.
Yeah, that's not happening.
But all right, that's all I got. Anything else? Any last thouts?
Goes game one tonight.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 76ers, or however that song goes.
Yeah. Let's work on that. So
yeah.
Hey, hopefully you get a big win tonight and start off the series hot.
We shall see.
Yeah. All right. Till then.
All righty. Peace out.